Mansfield today on a Friday, and that means it's time for us to talk motoring with our motoring, uh, our
Don't
mad.
say guru or expertise.
No, okay,
Expert.
our mad motoring man.
I love that. Yeah. Love that.
Segi Woodley. Now you're onto the second-hand thing. You were
The
saying,
second-hand cars.
You were saying to me
why they're maintaining their pricing like
Yeah.
crazy, and why actually dealers are paying more for second-hand vehicles than they should. And this is what caught my eye when I was going through a lot of the platforms.
Yeah.
So I asked my buddy Chiro there from cars.co.za
Okay.
to join us.
Right.
And, let's hear his take on it.
Yeah.
And maybe we can put him in a corner and give him a bit of a squeeze.
Chiro, nice to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining us on Mansfield today. What is happening with the second-hand market at the moment, based on what you see on your platform?
Yeah, lovely to be here, gents. Thank you very much for having me. The second-hand market is being squeezed and buoyed, actually, by a couple of factors. So one is we're seeing huge price inflation on the new car pricing side. So official figure puts new car pricing for the last 12 months at 12%, so it's way above CPI. But, for me, some sort of, back of the envelope maths, I think we've seen 100% inflation in the new car market over the last 7 years. So, for instance, in 2014, you could buy a Ford Fiesta for about 160,000 Rand brand new out the box. These days, you're lucky if you get one for 320,000. That's not even the top spec. So 100% inflation over 7 years is remarkable.
Over 7 years.
Yeah, I think that's
somebody. If you ask someone buying a new car, they'll tell you 100% from last year to this year because
yeah, that's what it feels like.
Hey?
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
It's crazy. It's like off the rails. And yet, if you're looking to buy a car, and lots of people now that are coming into the market, new buyers, first-time buyers, and they're all using platforms like yours, what would you advise them, Chiro? I mean, like you just said, new cars are really out of the question for most of the consumers out there. What would you recommend when people get on your platform?
So first of all, if you go back a step, it's a very good time to trade in. Dealers are being squeezed on both sides. So there's new car stock shortages due to things like the semiconductor chip crisis and manufacturers having to slow down their manufacturing numbers around the world. So dealers are struggling to get volume. However, they are getting good prices for their cars. They're just being things are a little bit difficult for them on the volume side. The new car pricing, I think, is pushing more people into the second-hand car market. I also think that that people are hanging on to their cars for longer because, a car is a massive purchase, and in times of uncertainty, you maybe hold back on that big purchase, and you instead of flipping your car every 3 years, you might say get out of it every 5 years. So dealers are also battling to get hold of second-hand stock, which means that if you drive your whatever it is, Toyota Fortuner or anything, into a dealership and say, please give me a good price, you are almost certainly going to get a very, very good price for your car right now. So that's a good place to start. It's a good time to trade in. All that being said, I think that there are such wonderful deals to be found right now on sites like ours, for instance, on demo vehicles, on low mileage vehicles. I personally would stay away from, I just don't have enough experience or enough expertise to guide people when it comes to the auction side and the repossessed vehicle side. It's risky. You have to buy the car without driving it. Look, there's good deals to be had, but you can also get burned. So I would say best thing to do, go to a reputable dealership, a nice big dealership with big glass windows up front and a coffee machine in the back and all the rest of it, and get your car from there. Because then if anything...
Is that what makes it a good dealership?
Some recourse, yeah.
The coffee machine, right?
But Chiro, there must also be a fair amount of vehicles coming onto the market from the car hire companies who really, they're sitting on stock, which they don't need at this stage, especially with the travel market being where it is. So there must be a fair flood of those vehicles coming into the market as well.
It's so funny you mentioned that because I just advised my best friend yesterday, actually. She found a fantastic Suzuki Vitara from Avis Car Sales. So Avis actually runs pretty much a dealership in Durban. I'm sure they have around the country as well. And they're letting go of some of their low mileage stock. And she got a super low mileage Suzuki Vitara for below market rates, which I thought was a fantastic buy. Look, the thing about a rental car is either it's had its wheels driven off, or it hasn't done very much at all, and it's stood in Avis's garage for a couple of years. So there's also good deals to be had there. A little bit of risk as well, but to be honest, when you're buying a second-hand car, there is a certain amount of risk that you need to have a stomach for, and that's just how it's going to be. So I would just say try buy the youngest car you can with the lowest mileage you can, with the biggest balance of the maintenance plan that you can. And if you need that information, all the maintenance plan information is on Cars.co.za in our compare tools. Really easy to find.
You know, what you mentioned very importantly, especially for first-time buyers, is leave the auctions alone. If you're a first-time buyer and you don't have someone with you who's not au fait with auctions and cars per se, even people who are au fait with cars get caught at auctions. So what you mentioned there is absolutely crucial. If you're a first-time buyer, try the platforms, the safe platforms, but leave the auctions alone. Also, when buying privately, you have no recourse. And the same as buying from an auction. You have no recourse. You drive out the gates and that car just stops. That's it. That's your warranty done and dusted.
Correct.
You know,
the CPA,
the CPA doesn't apply to auctions and private sales. It applies to car dealers and, like you said, the coffee machine places that have the proper, that have the know-how and the wherewithal when they're selling you a car. And sometimes paying 10 or 15 grand more for a car at a dealer is always worth the risk, because it comes with the 6 months unlimited mileage warranty with it.
There's also a piece of advice I do give to people quite often is there's a very valuable service provided by a company called Dekra, Dekra. They've got centers around the country. And I think for something along the lines of about 1,600 Rand, you can get a 200-point check done on the car. And you know, they'll pick up stuff like, for instance, if the alternator is faulty or something wrong with the power steering or, you know, something along those lines. And
then, exactly.
Yeah. And then at least you know what you're in for. And I think that if you ask a dealer, you say to the dealer, look, please take it for a Dekra inspection. I'll pay, make sure the car gets there and back. And if they don't want to do that, then that's a huge red flag. You know, then it's like, okay,
immediately, yes. And you know, it'll be the best 1,600 Rand you spend, if that.
Yeah.
Because they do such a valuable inspection of the vehicle, and it's a private company, so the dealer has, they owe the dealer nothing to give you a proper report on the car, because that's your report, you know. And then and like you said, if the dealer is not prepared to do that for you, run away, leave it immediately. Similarly, if a private guy doesn't want to go with you to show the car to someone, leave it. If he's not prepared for you to inspect the vehicle, leave the vehicle alone.
Yeah, but buying privately is fraught with risk. And over the years, I actually think this practice is dying out, to be honest. Well, rather selling privately, because companies like We Buy Cars, like Getworth, like Wheelie, they've come into the market and they've just removed that pain and that frustration,
suffering,
and that inconvenience, of selling your car privately. You know, I mean, you go on their website, you get an estimate, you phone them, they arrive at your door, they give you the money, they take your car away. I mean, compare that to taking people
and your money's in your account before they take the car.
You know, and obviously in South Africa, the security risk around selling privately has to be considered as well. It's fraught with risk as well to your personal safety. So, you know, I think selling privately is a dying art. It will never go away completely. It generally functions at the lower end of the market. But I think that you now as a buyer are probably very well. You've got a lot of options now in South Africa.
Yes.
You know, We Buy Cars just buying that Northgate Dome. I mean, that business is flying.
I mean, they've made money. Hey, that business is just growing.
I mean, full disclosure, they're actually one of our biggest clients. Funnily enough, they advertise a lot of cars with us, but we have no.
I noticed you mentioned We Buy Cars about 60 times in talking to us. Yeah, you know. But
well, I mean, I just bought shares yesterday, but between me and you.
Ciro, listen, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for your input into the motoring section of Mansfield Today. We really appreciate your time.
Such a pleasure. Anytime. Thank you.
Ciro from cars.co.za. Segi Mudli from we don't know where and we don't even want to know where.
Yeah. We definitely don't want to know that. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, my
Thanks,
pal.
mate.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Have a good one.
Ciao. Bye-bye. And thank you for joining. And if you did enjoy the show, remember to hit the subscribe button. Segi will be back with us next Friday once again, right here on Mansfield Today. Cheery bye.